You know that feeling when you plug your phone in overnight and the next morning you unplug it, but the screen flashes like 10% battery.
Oh, yeah. The absolute worst.
Right. You stare at it thinking, I did everything right. You were on the charger for 8 hours. And that exact sense of betrayal is how millions of us feel about our own bodies every single morning.
Yeah, it really
Go to
is.
bed on time, you put in the hours, and you wake up utterly exhausted.
It's a universal frustration, mostly because we treat sleep like a simple math equation, like time in bed equals energy out.
Yeah.
But biology just doesn't work like a lithium-ion battery.
Yeah.
The restorative process is it's incredibly active, highly mechanical, and honestly remarkably easy to disrupt.
Which is exactly our mission for this deep dive.
Mhm.
We're looking at a massive stack of incredibly recent studies, pulling in April 2026 data from the CDC,
Mhm.
and looking closely at some cutting-edge brain research.
Hmm.
The goal here is to figure out what sleep debt is actually doing to your cells. We're exploring why your usual fixes completely fail, and how you might actually protect yourself when life inevitably gets in the way of a good night's rest.
Because the gap between how we treat sleep culturally and how the body actually utilizes it is just staggering.
Yeah.
If you look at the broad population trends, we are essentially trying to sprint through a marathon on a fractured leg.
It's so true. I mean, the CDC data paints a picture of a society running on absolute fumes. Roughly 30.5% of American adults are getting less than 7 hours of sleep.
Wow.
And only about 55% actually wake up feeling well-rested on most days. We live in a culture that still treats sleep like, I don't know, an unproductive luxury.
Right, like a weakness.
Exactly. It's almost viewed as a character flaw if you require a full 8 hours, while the science is consistently proving that sleep is vital biological life support.
What's fascinating here is, what's particularly revealing in that CDC data is how this deprivation is distributed. It isn't a uniform problem at all.
How so?
Well, women, for instance, report struggling significantly more with both falling asleep and staying asleep compared to men.
Okay.
And counterintuitively, if you look at the age brackets, adults over 65 report having an easier time falling asleep than the 18 to 34-year-old demographic.
Wait, really? That completely flips the script on the whole restless senior stereotype.
It really does.
It suggests the younger workforce is carrying just an immense cognitive or stress load into bed with them.
Precisely. And we see ethnic variances as well, with Asian adults reporting waking up the most well-rested compared to other groups.
Interesting.
But the overriding theme across all of these demographics is desperation. I mean, nearly 13% of adults are relying on some kind of sleep aid to cope.
That is a huge number.
It is. You have 5.2% using prescriptions, 5.7% on over-the-counter medications, and 3.7% turning to marijuana or CBD.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we are basically heavily medicating to force our bodies to shut down. 13% of the population is relying on chemical intervention just to achieve a baseline biological function.
Yeah, exactly.
And teasing apart the impact of those sleep aids is going to be crucial as we look deeper into the research today, because we might find out that the very things we take to protect our brains from sleep deprivation are, they might be causing the exact damage we're trying to avoid.
Oh, absolutely.
But before we dive into the pharmacology, we need to address the most common strategy for surviving the work week. And I will confess right now, I am a classic weekend sleep binger.
Oh, you and millions of others.
Yeah, Monday through Friday, I run a deficit, and then Saturday morning, I am dead to the world until 10 in the morning. So tell me, is this doing anything for my biology, or am I just wasting my Saturday?
Well, a massive study looking at over 12,000 adults, 12,367 to be exact, mapped out this exact behavioral pattern. On weekdays, the average sleep time in their cohort was 6 hours and 42 minutes. On weekends, that average bumped up to 7 hours and 26 minutes. So over a quarter of the population carries around a significant sleep debt.
Right, they're trying to catch up, just like I am.
But the math on the behavior is the surprising part. If you isolate the individuals with severe sleep debt, meaning they fall short of their ideal sleep duration by more than 90 minutes a night,
Yeah.
nearly 76% of them do absolutely nothing to balance it out.
Wait, what? They just live in a state of permanent exhaustion? Why wouldn't they try to sleep in?
Habit, work schedules, kids, the reasons vary, but essentially, yes, they live in chronic debt. Only 18.2% of those severe sleep debt carriers actually try to catch up on weekends.
Wow.
And a mere 7.4% try to use naps to close the gap.
Let me push back on this a little, because for those of us who do sleep in on weekends, I usually feel pretty decent by Sunday afternoon. Is that extra sleep actually repairing the week's damage? Or am I just, like, tricking my brain into feeling better for a few hours?
You're experiencing a transient mood boost. A 2025 comprehensive review focused on what they call weekend catch-up sleep, or WCS.
Okay.
The researchers found that it does offer temporary fatigue relief. You objectively feel better in the short term, but biologically, it is a mirage.
Why a mirage?
Yeah.
I mean, if my body needs sleep and I give it sleep, shouldn't that just balance the biological ledger?
Because your body doesn't operate on a banking system, it operates on a circadian rhythm.
Oh, right.
Irregular weekend catch-up sleep acts like a recurring case of severe social jet lag. You are aggressively shifting your biological clock back and forth every 5 days.
Yikes.
Yeah. The 2025 review showed that this yo-yo effect impairs metabolic regulation. Your body gets confused about when to release insulin, when to lower your core temperature, and when to produce cortisol.
So it's throwing everything out of whack.
Completely. Over time, this rhythm disruption actually increases your cardiovascular risk. It absolutely cannot fully offset the adverse effects of the chronic sleep deprivation you endured Monday through Friday.
So I am resetting how I feel, but I'm not erasing the biological toll on my tissues.
Exactly.
If I can't just pay back the sleep bank on Saturday, I want to know exactly how fast this damage is accumulating.
Yeah.
Like, what is actually going on inside my cells when I shortchange my sleep for even a few days?
Well, we have to look at a rather shocking study from 2016 that focused on older adults aged 61 to 86.
Okay.
The researchers wanted to isolate the acute effects of sleep loss, so they subjected them to just one single night of partial sleep deprivation. They restricted their sleep from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Wait, 4 hours lost. Just one night.
Yeah.
That happens to millions of people every time they have an early flight or just a stressed out night.
I know. And the results were profound at a genetic level. That single night triggered a significant increase in what biologists call the DNA damage response, or DDR.
DDR, okay.
When your cells are actively functioning during the day, they sustain minor wear and tear to their DNA. Sleep is when those repairs happen.
Right.
Restricting sleep halted the repair machinery, allowing damage to accumulate instantly.
It's unsettling to think that the cellular aging process accelerates after just 4 lost hours. What happens to a cell when it realizes its DNA is damaged and, isn't getting fixed?
It activates something called the senescence-associated secretory phenotype, or SAA.
That's a mouthful.
It is, yeah. But basically, when cells accumulate too much DNA damage, they initiate cell cycle arrest to prevent the damaged genetic code from replicating. They completely stop dividing. This is cellular aging in fast forward.
So you're saying one bad night of sleep is literally turning my cells into zombie cells?
Yeah.
Like, they refuse to die, but they just sit there completely useless, not doing their job.
It's actually worse than them just being useless. They don't undergo apoptosis, meaning they don't cleanly self-destruct and clear out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Instead, because of that secretory phenotype, they sit there and secrete inflammatory cytokines. They actively damage the healthy, functioning cells around them.
Wow.
The researchers measured significant changes in genes specifically involved in these inflammatory and damage response pathways, like NFKB2 and CHK2.
If individual cells are falling apart and refusing to die, what is happening to the cellular engines? Like the mitochondria.
This connects deeply to some 2026 research looking specifically at mitochondrial function. When you're sleep deprived, the lack of rest blocks a critical cellular process called mitophagy.
Which is the brain's quality control system for clearing out dead or defective energy factories, right?
Correct. Under normal, healthy sleep conditions, your brain identifies damaged mitochondria and clears them away. You can think of specific genes, like the Parkin gene, functioning as a molecular barcode scanner.
Okay, a barcode scanner.
Yeah, so when a mitochondrion gets damaged, Parkin tags it with a specific protein so the cell knows to destroy it and recycle the parts. Sleep deprivation effectively turns off that scanner.
Let me make sure I'm picturing this right. It's like running a manufacturing factory where the machines are breaking down and catching fire. But instead of hauling the broken machines to the scrapyard, the workers just leave them sitting on the factory floor. Eventually, there is just no physical room to actually get any work done, and the whole factory grinds to a halt.
That is exactly what happens on a molecular level. Because the broken power plants aren't cleared out, the production of ATP, or cellular energy currency, drops dramatically.
Right.
At the same time, those broken mitochondria leak reactive oxygen species, causing oxidative stress to spike. Neurons are incredibly energy hungry, so when they don't have ATP, they become highly vulnerable.
That sounds dangerous.
It is. If you look at the pathology of neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, this exact failure of mitophagy exacerbates the core symptoms. The inability to clear out the trash is a major driver of brain aging.
So if individual cells are failing to clear their own broken machines, what happens on a macro scale? Where does all that cellular exhaust actually go?
That is the million-dollar question.
Which brings us to Dr. Eric Topol's remarkable 2025 review on the glymphatic system. He described it in a way that makes perfect sense to me. It's literally like turning on the dishwasher before you go to bed and waking up with a clean brain. The brain uses cerebrospinal fluid to wash away toxic proteins.
Yeah, the glymphatic system has completely reshaped our understanding of why sleep is biologically necessary. We are talking about clearing amyloid beta and tau, the exact proteins that clump together to form the plaques and tangles associated with Alzheimer's disease.
Right. The cerebrospinal fluid rushes in alongside the blood vessels and flushes the waste out into the body's peripheral lymphatic system. But the mechanics of it are fascinating. How does the brain know when to run the wash cycle?
The mechanism relies entirely on synchronized neuronal activity during non-REM sleep, your deep, slow-wave sleep. The phrase emerging from the research community is neurons that fire together, shower together.
Well, I love the simplicity of that. Neurons that fire together, shower together. But what is the actual chemical trigger?
Well, during deep sleep, your neurons fire in these large, slow, synchronized waves. This synchronization actually drives the fluid movement. But it relies heavily on the behavior of a specific neurotransmitter, which is norepinephrine.
Okay, norepinephrine.
Right. During the day, norepinephrine keeps you alert and focused, but during deep sleep, norepinephrine levels naturally plummet.
Gotcha.
That severe drop acts as a chemical signal, causing the extracellular space in the brain to expand by up to 60%.
60%? That's huge.
It essentially opens the floodgates, allowing the cerebrospinal fluid to rush through and begin the wash cycle.
So deep sleep forces a drop in norepinephrine. The tissue literally shrinks to open up channels, and the brain's dishwasher turns on, flushing out the Alzheimer's proteins.
That is the mechanical reality of a good night's rest.
Which brings us to the grand paradox of modern sleep medicine, and back to that CDC data. 13% of adults are using sleep aids. Millions of people are taking pills because they know sleep is important, they know they need to protect their brains, and they just want to knock themselves out.
Naturally.
But Topol's review highlights that common sleep aids, specifically medications like Ambien or Zolpidem, actually suppress this norepinephrine effect.
They do. They fundamentally alter the architecture of your sleep.
Wait, if I take a pill and I am unconscious for 8 hours, why does the chemical trigger matter? I mean, unconscious is unconscious, right?
Being sedated is not the same thing as sleeping.
Oh.
When you take a strong sedative like Zolpidem, the drug forces you into a state of unconsciousness, but it prevents the natural synchronized neuronal firing required for slow-wave sleep.
So no deep brain waves.
Right. And furthermore, it actively prevents that crucial drop in norepinephrine.
Here's where it gets really interesting. People are taking these pills to get sleep to protect their brains, but the pill itself is turning off the brain's dishwasher. You are unconscious, but the floodgates never open.
Exactly. You are accumulating metabolic waste. The drug might keep you unaware of your surroundings, but it disrupts the precise chemical environment needed for glymphatic clearance.
That's terrifying.
It is. And this biological mechanism perfectly aligns with years of troubling epidemiological data. Multiple long-term studies have linked the chronic use of these types of sedatives to a significantly heightened risk of Alzheimer's and dementia down the line.
If one night of sleep deprivation spikes beta-amyloid because the wash cycle didn't run, and taking a pill forces you to stay unconscious while also preventing the wash cycle from running, they are functionally doing the same damage to the brain's plumbing.
You are generating metabolic waste either way, but the pill gives you the illusion of restorative rest.
Wow.
Over time, the brain ages faster, extracellular matrix deposits build up, and the immune cells of the brain become dysfunctional. It creates a vicious cycle.
Yeah, I can see that.
The toxic proteins build up, which in turn physically damages the neural pathways that generate healthy sleep, leading to more fragmented sleep and even more toxic buildup.
I have to plead for a lifeline here on behalf of the listener, because the picture we have painted is incredibly grim.
It's heavy, yeah.
If I cannot catch up on the weekends because it ruins my circadian rhythm, and I cannot take a standard sleeping pill without clogging my brain's dishwasher, what am I supposed to do? Everyone goes through periods of unavoidable sleep loss. Shift workers, new parents, students during finals, just a brutal week at the office.
Right.
There has to be a way to survive the deficit without accelerating cellular aging.
Well, science does offer a fascinating, albeit demanding, intervention. A 2021 study published in Molecular Metabolism provides a highly practical strategy for these exact scenarios.
Okay, I'm all ears.
The researchers took a group of healthy young males and restricted them to just 4 hours of sleep a night for 5 consecutive nights.
That is brutal. That is a recipe for a complete biological crash.
And crash they did. The baseline group showed exactly what we've been discussing. Their glucose tolerance plummeted, placing them in a state of pre-diabetic metabolic stress. Their mitochondrial function dropped significantly, tying right back to that failure of cellular energy we discussed earlier. And their muscle protein synthesis essentially halted. Their bodies were actively breaking down.
The zombie cell transformation was in full progress. What was the intervention?
The researchers had a second group undergo the exact same 5 nights of 4-hour sleep restriction. But this group added 3 sessions of high-intensity interval exercise, or HIIE, during that 5-day window.
Wait, doing high-intensity cardio on 4 hours of sleep sounds like a recipe for a heart attack.
It sounds counterintuitive, right?
You are taking a body that is already flooded with stress hormones from sleep deprivation, and you are forcing it into maximum physical exertion. Doesn't that just flood an already stressed body with cortisol? How did that not backfire entirely?
It is a brilliant question, and it comes down to the difference between acute physical stress and chronic metabolic stress. The results were absolutely stunning. The addition of that high-intensity exercise completely mitigated the loss of glucose tolerance. It protected their mitochondria from dysfunction, and it maintained their muscle protein synthesis.
Oh, how is that mechanically possible?
Because high-intensity interval exercise forces a massive acute metabolic adaptation. When you push your muscles to that extreme, even briefly, it triggers the AMPK pathway.
The AMPK pathways.
Right. This forces the body to rapidly clear cellular waste, like lactic acid, and stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, which is the creation of new, healthy mitochondria.
Oh, wow.
The acute stress of the workout essentially overrides the chronic degradation caused by the lack of sleep. It acts as a metabolic shield.
So if I know I'm going to a brutal week of short sleep, doing high-intensity cardio acts like a chemical shield for my cells. Think it like a controlled burn in a forest.
I like that analogy.
You are intentionally introducing a small, intense fire, the workout, to clear out the dry brush and cellular waste, which prevents a massive, uncontrollable wildfire from destroying the whole ecosystem during a week of severe sleep deprivation.
That is a fantastic way to conceptualize it. Now, to be perfectly clear, exercise does not replace sleep.
Right, of course.
A quick burst of cardio will not clear the amyloid beta from your brain the way the glymphatic dishwasher will. But when sleep is simply not an option, high-intensity exercise is a proven intervention to protect your body's metabolism, preserve your cellular energy grid, and maintain your insulin sensitivity. It keeps your body from falling into that catastrophic state of arrest.
If we step back and look at the entire picture we've explored today, the implications are just massive.
They really are.
We are a chronically tired society. The CDC data proves we are running around with massive sleep debts. We rely on weekend catch-up strategies that do not actually reverse the cellular damage, and we turn to chemical sedatives that might actually be locking the toxic waste inside our brains.
The overarching lesson is that we have to radically reevaluate our relationship with sleep and, more importantly, how we manage its unavoidable absence.
We have to respect the mechanics of our mitochondria. We have to understand the triggers for the brain's glymphatic dishwasher. And when we are forced into the red zone, when we simply cannot get those 8 hours, we need to utilize active mechanical tools like high-intensity exercise rather than passive chemical sedation to protect our long-term health.
And if we connect this to the broader trajectory of where medicine is heading, there is one last thread that is particularly provocative for anyone interested in the future of human performance.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we know traditional sedatives fail because they stop the brain from cleaning itself. But a cutting-edge 2026 paper published in MedOxer suggests scientists are approaching this from an entirely new angle.
Okay.
They are testing novel pharmacological enhancements, specifically a drug currently designated as ACX02.
What makes ACX02 different from popping an Ambien?
The goal of this new drug is not to knock you out. It isn't a sedative at all. It is designed to specifically enhance what researchers call cerebrovascular pulse transit time.
Cerebrovascular pulse transit time. Oh. What does that mean for the actual plumbing of the brain?
It means they're trying to artificially increase vasomotion. Vasomotion is the natural rhythmic pumping of the blood vessels.
Right.
Remember how we discussed the cerebrospinal fluid rushing in alongside the blood vessels to wash away the Alzheimer's proteins?
Yeah.
That fluid relies on the physical pulsation of the blood vessels to push it through the brain tissue.
Wait, so they are trying to create a pill that doesn't force you into unconsciousness, but instead artificially strengthens the pumping action of the blood vessels.
Exactly. The theory is that if you take this drug, you go to sleep naturally, but the drug puts your brain's dishwasher on turbo mode while you are under.
Wow. Turbo mode.
By increasing the pulse transit time, they hope to dramatically accelerate the clearance of metabolic waste.
There's a total paradigm shift. I mean, the future of sleep medicine isn't about giving you a drug to trap you in bed for more hours. It's about taking a pill that makes the limited hours. You do get exponentially more efficient at cleaning out the toxic proteins. We are moving from simply forcing unconsciousness to actively augmenting the brain's waste clearance mechanics.
It highlights a fundamental realization in medical science. We cannot cheat the biological requirements of sleep, but we might be able to engineer better ways to support the mechanisms that do the heavy lifting.
That is incredible to think about. Next time you wake up and feel like your battery is stuck at 10%, just remember, you aren't just feeling tired. Your cellular factory floor is cluttered with broken down mitochondria, your brain's dishwasher hasn't run its cycle, and your DNA is begging for repair. If you can't get back to sleep, you might just need a quick, intense interval workout to throw up that metabolic shield and force the system to adapt. Think about the mechanics of your own biology tonight before you hit the pillow.